Hello, I'm Peter Morgan-Barnes. I'm from Yes Port Talbot, and I'm the chair of the Gweithgor.
And I'm Christine Moore. I'm the chair of Pen-y-bont Arogwr, and I was on the Reform the Group work stream.
I'm Geraint Thomas. I was the delegate for Yes Bala, and I was on the Governance and Procedure subgroup.
I'm Andy Murphy. I'm from Yes Pen-y-bont Arogwr. I was part of the group reform work stream, and for the last 3 months, secretary of the Gweithgor.
I'm Morgan Bowler-Brown, delegate for Casnewydd on the Gweithgor, and I sat on the elections subgroup.
I'm Aled Jones. I was delegate for Yes Porthmadog and on the finance subgroup.
Why has it taken so long to hold the EGM?
Well, the Gweithgor was established at the last full meeting of the National Council and an indicative date of autumn given. You know, at the time, there was no real understanding of the scope or indeed the magnitude of the task that had been set. And following the membership consultation, it was also really clear that there was a desire driven by the members, not just to take a stick and plaster approach, but to have a truly bottom-up, member-driven organisation. You know, the consultation itself was the most comprehensive ever carried out by YesCymru, and over 200 separate proposals were submitted. And what followed was a root and branch overhaul, looking at not just the constitution, but also YesCymru's working practices, bringing every aspect of YesCymru up to date, and that's been supported by rigorous legal scrutiny from specialist solicitors. And despite everything that's entailed, the EGM is going ahead in just over a week's time. And that's really our chance to reset and refocus YesCymru on its sole objective of gaining independence for Wales.
What were the generality of the membership's proposals about?
Well, there were over 200 proposals covering a wide range of topics, including ideas on structure, governance, financial control, the role and structure of groups, distribution of groups. All of these collectively highlighted the identified need to have a fairer, more transparent, accountable organisation where the membership can have more confidence in the management of YesCymru. A duty of care is at the heart of the organisation. These proposals really show a desire by the membership to find a solution, a better way forward.
How did the Gweithgor achieve a consensus over competing proposals for the structure?
Well, compromise was the word of the day. So the election subgroup that I was a part of took the proposals membership sent in that we ended up being responsible for, and we identified the central issue that was the root cause of the proposed solution that was being sent in. We used this to build sort of a proposal that addressed the concerns of the members, but would also be acceptable to the majority. This process enabled the Gweithgor to find common ground when we were looking to agree on the proposed vision for YesCymru.
The proposals in themselves did not represent a single vision, so they needed to be processed and collated into broad themes. Once collated, they were distributed to the relevant work streams, which were group reform, election reform, governance reform, procedure, and financial reform. There was a genuine attempt at a diagnostic approach to understand the main issues underlying the proposals. The representatives at each workstream debated, tried to find common ground, negotiated a variety of possibilities, trying to focus on best interests, not positions, and compromise. Each workstream brought their proposed reforms to the plenary every Sunday, and all propositions for reform were voted upon, amended, and then agreed.
Have the groups always agreed with what the delegates are doing?
Delegates were appointed by their groups to make decisions on their behalf. The Gweithgor was a working group, not a representative chamber, so delegates weren't liaison officers conveying the group's decision up to the Gweithgor's plenary session. But that said, delegates have kept their groups informed of developments, and the groups have offered support to the Gweithgor where it's been needed.
Where is the information about liabilities transferring to the new incorporated organisation? And how can YesCymru, as an unincorporated association, have any liabilities?
The EGM motion includes all the information for the smooth transition from the unincorporated association to the company limited by guarantee. this has been taken time to be drafted, and it's been checked and amended by the solicitors geldad. So the term assets and liabilities is quite a common thing, so it's all encompassing. So it should include stock and cash, as well as contracts, staff and so on, and any liabilities. That doesn't necessarily mean there are any liabilities, debts or mortgages, even though YesCymru's got the power to do so, doesn't necessarily mean that we're not actually aware of any liabilities. But if there are, it allows a smooth transition by including everything to be transferred quite simply from one organisation to the other.
Why are we electing members on a regional basis, and what is the purpose of regional councils if we are a national movement?
YesCymru is certainly a national movement, and we aim to be successful in every part of Wales. This means recognising that we are a very diverse country with long-standing cultural and political differences between our regions. Campaigns which go down well in Monmouthshire may not go down so well in Gwener. Consequently, the new structures ensure that every region of Wales has a representative voice within the governance of the movement. Not occasional participation, but in all decisions on strategy, campaigning and Wales-wide messaging. This will ensure YesCymru remains a truly pan-Wales movement.
This structure allows us to elect directors to be responsible for the running of the movement, but it enables the conversation to continue through regular regional and national meetings, so we can ensure that YesCymru retains the voice of its grassroots groups, allowing them to feed ideas up through an organised process into the national governing body.
How long will a group be allowed to remain as an associate group? What will happen to those groups when they are not active? Under the new system, the old constituted groups will become accredited groups, and unconstituted groups will become associate groups. There will be encouragements through the process for the associate groups to become part of the process, but there's no, they don't have to. So they will be encouraged to, but they won't be complied to join the structure. Obviously, they become part of the democratic process of YesCymru if they do become accredited, and they will be encouraged to do so. There will also be a root and branch overview of any groups that have become inactive, and be encouraged to either become active again, or be taken down from our list of groups. What is the difference between protected groups and thematic groups, and how are protected groups defined?
Well, protected characteristic and thematic groups both have a really vital role to play in helping secure Welsh independence by engaging with people who are not normally involved in politics or even switched off by politics. Protected characteristic groups are not unique to YesCymru. They're specifically defined by the Equality Act 2010, and for very good reason. They represent people and communities who are already underrepresented in society. For example, but not exclusively, people who are marginalised by gender, by race, by disability or age. And thematic groups, well, they have a very similar role to play, but by involvement with people and communities who exist because they share a common interest or hobby. For example, we already have YesHanes, YesCycliwr, and YesRunners. And the real benefit of both protected characteristic and thematic groups is that YesCymru members can make the idea of and the conversation about Welsh independence normal with people who may otherwise think it's not relevant to them.
The geographic groups feed into the regional councils and in turn the nationwide equivalent, the Council of Deputies. The main difference between protected and thematic groups comes in at this point. While both can submit ideas and proposals for adoption by the Council of Deputies, only protected groups and nominated representatives from the regional councils may vote. Protected groups will be started to hear the voices of the minority voices of protected characteristics as defined by the Equalities Act. And as part of the handover documentation that will be given to the first group of directors, we'll provide examples of groups we imagine that will be formed under this structure.
How will the roles of the directors differ from those of the previous CC? Y prif wahaniaeth rhwng y cyfarwyddwyr newydd fydd yn dod rhan o'r Corff Llywodraethu Genedlaethol a'r hen aelodau o Bwyllgor Canolog byddan nhw yn dod yn gyfarwyddwyr YesCymru. Ac felly mi fyddan nhw yn atebol I ddeddf cwmnïau 2006 ac mae rôl nhw neu i gwaith nhw'n cael ei ddiffinio benodol o fewn deddf gwlad. Mi fydd rhaid yn ôl y ddeddf i gyfarwyddwyr weithredu mewn ffordd sydd bydd y mudiad, bydd YesCymru, ac bydd yr aelodau fel holl fodolaeth YesCymru. Mi fydd yna hefyd ddeddfa penodol mewn lle sydd yn rheoleiddio sut mae perthynas tu allan i fodolaeth YesCymru, os oes gen gyfarwyddwr diddordeba tu allan i YesCymru all amharu ar ei benderfyniadau o ran o'r mudiad. Mae hynny hefyd yn cael ei amddiffyn o fewn derfwddiaeth deddf gwlad. Ac felly mae yna ddiffiniadau o fewn y ddeddf i amddiffyn y mudiad ac i amddiffyn hefyd yn bwysicach y cyfarwyddwr newydd. How is the role of the proposed CEO defined as opposed to an ordinary administrator of an organisation?
A chief executive, along with other staff, as Aled will tell us, will only be appointed when the movement reaches the stage where it can afford them. The difference between an administrator and a chief executive is that there may be a number of people sharing administrative responsibilities, but with a chief executive, the buck stops with them. They will have the ultimate responsibility for ensuring that YesCymru operates within the law and that agreed best practice is observed. A chief executive will be answerable to the elected governance of the movement, but will also be responsible to Companies House for the organisation meeting its responsibilities in law. The title may have corporate resonances, but Amnesty International has a chief executive, as do many other campaigning organisations, charities, arts organisations. And it's up to us to give the job title the resonance that we wanted to have.
Where is the cost appraisal for the new proposals to inform members about where the subscriptions have been spent?
The proposals that by the Gweithgor in the that's going to be voted on by the members in the EGM is actually cost neutral. So there were quite a few proposals that were put in at the outset from members that wanted to put strict limit or controls on precisely where the money is going to go, and that we should spend the money on, on staff or on referendum for quite a few different ideas. It was felt that the Gweithgor thought that it'd be unwise to, because we don't know precisely what's going to happen in the future. If we put something in the articles, it needs 75% people or members to change it, and obviously we'd have to have an EGM quickly. So we made sure that we're not going to tie the hands of the next board directors or the treasurer, and we've therefore not dictated precisely how the money is going to be spent. That's up to the new elected board. It's not really within our remit. And so that's the decision. We have recommended that they consider having a chief executive. However, that is up to the board whether they do that, and if so, when.
And the next question, how much did the legal review cost?
Geldards, the constitution experts consulted by the Gweithgor, originally quoted £4,500 for the legal review which created the Articles of Association. So despite our running over that sum in terms of their time, Geldards still charged us their original quote of £4,500. Consequently, we returned to Geldards to draft the motion, ensuring consonance between the new constitution and the motion proposing it. And this was £1,000. Geldards has also advised on the incorporation of YesCymru as a company limited by guarantee post-EGM. This will be through the existing company Ymgyrch, which is the merchandising arm of YesCymru. Geldards advised transferring the membership from the old unincorporated association to this company, Ymgyrch, which will then be retitled YesCymru. The fee for this advice also amounts to £1,000, but it represents a substantial saving. Setting up a new company to transfer YesCymru's assets and membership a new company, would have been a further £2,000. So Geldarts have been very good value for money when compared with other firms of the same standing and expertise.
Why have we chosen the 11th of December as a date for the EGM? The 11th of December was the earliest date at which we could hold an EGM after going through all the process of the democracy of the Gweithgor after having received all the proposals back in the summer. It also, we worked week on week through all the proposals and then went through the due diligence of the solicitors and their process, and having everything agreed and having given the membership enough time to consider the proposals, the 11th of December was the soonest date we could actually hold an EGM. Why are we not electing directors at the EGM?
It was felt that prospective candidates needed to be fully aware of what type of organisation that they would be standing for. Therefore, the members needed to be given the opportunity to vote on the constitutional changes. And once the motion has been passed, then the call for directors would be able to start as soon as possible.
What has your personal experience been working in the Gweithgor?
Well, it's been a challenging process, that's for sure. But I think it's also been one where it's brought people together. Yes, we've had differences of opinion. Yes, we haven't always got our way with various decisions that have been made. But this was always going to be about consensus. And I find there's a certain irony with the EGM being called on December the 11th. Many people will know it's the day at Kilmary, and isn't it ironic that the betrayal and Welsh history of turning on ourselves, and I think what we should do is look forward and fight what we need to fight, that is, fight for independence for Wales, not each other.
I would be lying if I said it's been an enjoyable process. Like many others on the Gweithgor, I've spent well over 100 hours of my free time working with others in order to deliver this proposal. I feel we've achieved a structure that will achieve the desires of the members who submitted ideas at the start of the process. The point of compromise is to come to a middle ground, and like others, there are things in the process that I personally don't agree with, but we can all agree this is that middle ground, a consensus that addresses many of the valid issues that YesCymru had under the previous and current structure. If the membership chooses to support this proposal, then YesCymru will immediately start the process of electing new directors who will take the organisation forward. The Gweithgor has led the way in this healing process by bringing representatives of the different parts of the movement together. And I think it helped humanise some of the voices that up until now maybe were only avatars on social media, and it gave all sides a platform to discuss the issues that we did face in the past in a more respectful manner. So,
my personal experience, I've been humbled by how much people have sacrificed their time, given of their competences, and worked very hard, very intensively hard for 4 weeks. It's been a route march to get there, because we've had people saying, on the one hand, it's taking too long, and others saying, we're rushing it. So we've had to work in detail, under pressure, and we've had to work quickly. So I'm enormously proud of what we've achieved and humbled by what we've achieved. It hasn't been easy. It brought me closer to my grandfather, who in the First World War, 22-year-old captain, was charged with organising a counterattack under a heavy bombardment. And under shelling, hiding in a dugout, one of his men said, Captain Barnes, it's not up to me to tell you a job, or how to do you a job, but all this would be so much easier if the Germans could be further away. And I kind of felt I've been in that position a bit, really. My grandfather's response was that he thought the soldier overestimated his influence with the Kaiser. But so that's how it's felt, really, I suppose.
The experience has been a huge learning curve. It's been an eye-opener into how restructuring an organisation happens. but it's been an experience that we can be proud of. You know, I'm very proud of what we achieved at the end, and presenting the documents to the membership. I've been able to wait for people to see them and to see all the work that we've done, and also to feel that we've played a tiny little part in the future of Cymru, and a huge part in the future of YesCymru.
I think it would depend at what time you asked me. But quite rightly, it's been challenging, it's been demanding, it's been rigorous, but it's also been healing. Yeah, I've absolutely no doubt that everyone involved in the Gweithgor believes 100% in Welsh independence and a 100% committed to gaining independence. But to find the compromise, everyone involved has also had to put aside personal objectives, because everyone involved wants to find the best way forward for YesCymru. And I guess to quote a phrase that's been used a fair bit over this past week or so, it was Welsh politics, not Westminster politics. Welsh politics to put us on the front foot to gain independence.
I think the Gweithgor process has been what YesCymru and the independence process should be about. A lot of people not necessarily, agreeing, people with completely different backgrounds, living different places in Wales and further afield, as well as, different political views. People from, have got very different views, quite sometimes passionate views about a lot of important things. But at the end of the day, we all believe in Wales, and Wales should be an independent country, and we want the same purpose, and we'll be able to work together. I think we need to unite around this constitution, which I think will help us to unite moving forward. And I think the outlook is positive for the future. We just need to get positive, get back into campaigning, and I've been able to get on and have good laughs sometimes with people who very much disagree and very different to me, and that's fine. We can disagree, but we can still get on. And the Gweithgor process has been difficult, it's been long, there's been a lot of time and effort going into it, but I think it's been very worthwhile, and it's been some very good people here, and I'm sure we'll be able to get a great group of directors to lead with a wonderful organisation moving forward.